Hey y'all, excuse the towel. I was in the middle of wash day, but the house is finally quiet, so living with other people, you gotta strike while the iron is hot. So it is evening now, and I was thinking this morning, we're still fairly new into the new year, so there's a lot of New Year's resolutions, a lot which usually have to do with people's weight. And me personally, I'm definitely trying to turn a healthier leaf, not necessarily lose any weight. I'm fine where I am weight, but just kind of strengthen and tone. And I shared this meme on my Facebook today about revenge bodies and had a nice laugh about it. But it got me thinking. One about working on my own revenge body, which is about 3 to 6 years late, but more importantly, exactly what that means for someone like me who has always felt disconnected from their body, and not always, is more directly linked to the traumas I had. So when I went off to college, which is when everything started, I was coming off 11 years of playing soccer straight. So I was built, pretty sturdy. And I would love to get back to that frame. Probably not on a soccer field because I'd probably pass out. But, once I went to college and the first assault happened, I started feeling really disconnected from my body. And I think a lot of that, there's a term called spectatorship, which is where you have experiences where you feel like you're disconnecting from your body, and you're kind of watching what's happening to you, even though it is you. And I can, say that that definitely happened during my first assault. And since that point, always, I've just had a hard time disconnecting back with my body. And then fast forward a year later, and I'm in an abusive relationship. So my body, as much as I try to love it, it doesn't really feel like a home. It feels more like a burden. Just kind of a catalyst of abuse, because that was what my life was from 18 to actively 22, 23. I graduated college, so 22. But still, like I said, the last video, I wouldn't say I was all the way out of trauma until 24. So as far as like the assaults go, the beating, things of that nature, it's really complicated my relationship with my body. I did play around a lot with food consumption and restriction in college. Not enough to be a legitimate eating disorder, but I lived next to a CVS that last year when I lived alone, so it was not uncommon for me to go to the CVS. And you know how they sell those little chocolates, and they come in the little box. My favorite Easter candy is coconut nest. Like I could literally eat 100 of them. And what I would do sometimes, I would go in there and just buy the whole display case of them, and I would go home and eat myself until I got sick, and then tell myself I didn't eat real food because I was gluttonous, right? Or I would go the opposite way, and if I was having a really hard time and had already skipped class and just never left my apartment for 3 days, I would see how long it would take for me to actually get hungry enough to eat. Again, nothing like a legitimate, eating disorder, but still something that I was embarrassed to put, when I had to go in for those therapist check-ins and they asked me what I was doing, I would always kind of like glance over that. So just thinking what that means for someone like me. So for me, my revenge body, even though it definitely is eating healthier and taking care of myself, I'm very focused on my mental health. And I was through college, but I'm coming to terms that maybe it's time to head back to a therapist because there are things that I haven't dealt with, like the domestic violence. I've tried to remain very disconnected from that, and unfortunately, it's not working anymore. Or fortunately, however you look at it. So just thinking about how we talk about revenge bodies, and it's always how the outside looks, but how important it is that your inside is. I'm also a person who's very big on personality. I like to think that I have a lot of personality. Hopefully, you can feel that through the screen. And if not, if you know me personally, I'm quite the character. So like I said, my mental health is really important. My personality, vibrating at a higher frequency is something I've picked up recently, and I've within the few months, and I've definitely seen it work. And it's amazing now how I kind of do it subconsciously, versus when I had to think about it. Dealing with chakras. I'm really big into astrology and stars and stuff like that. But just it just made me begin to think, and really for me starting this journey of healing towards my body and loving my body and being reconnected with my body, because I haven't been, and that's been a really tough thing because I'm in this really big transformational stage, I think mentally as well, where those years pass. I'm kind of in the harvest season now of finally kind of getting out of all that stuff. And part of that is looking at myself and enjoying the way I look, but still having this kind of subconscious thought of if I look a certain way, I might attract abuse, which is completely false. The way I looked definitely wasn't the reason I was abused, but I even put on a lot of weight through that abusive relationship, and I've always been a comfort eater. It just aggravated it. I've actually written about that, which I'll put a direct link in the bio for. But just thinking about that, my yo-yo diet, and now I'm at a pretty healthy place. But thinking about the person, the revenge body as a holistic thing, and knowing that for me it goes a lot deeper than going to the gym and doing some squats and get my muscles and my legs back, is just taking care of me as a person. So I don't know. I guess I'm interested in what do you guys think about the revenge body, or maybe even what your New Year resolutions are. And I will be sure to keep you up with this journey of loving my body, because it's been a long time. And I think once I treat her right, everything could kind of start falling in place. So good luck with everything.